Hello and welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. Before we move any further, I'm just going to say this. We all know that Russia, Ukraine, and maybe even Belarus is involved in a situation over there. My heart goes out to all the innocents. You know what? Governments start wars, people die in wars. War is not the answer. I hope for peace. I hope that this thing doesn't escalate to a ridiculous level and that we can continue our lives as normal. But it's a scary situation when other people control the levers, the bombs, the codes. You know how that goes. And I just wanted to say that. Now, today we're going to deal with the topic of death to all clickbaiters. I do not mean a literal death to the clickbaiters. I mean a financial embarrassment. I mean a breakdown of the viewership to their channels. I believe that clickbait is bullshit. I believe it's a fraud. I believe that they're cowards. They're failed. They are afraid to be honest because if they're honest about their content, they might fail. They might not get the clicks that they want. And they, for some emotional lack, can't handle any form of failure. When I put up a post and I put up a title, I always discuss what I am talking about. That's just me. You waste people time. You waste people going to look for you. They may need help. And I'm going to get to a quick story about that in a second. So every chance that you get to expose a clickbaiter, they have a comment. If their comments are active, post. You clickbait MF or whatever comes to your mind, whatever's on your heart. Don't let them feel that they can get away with it. You could do this within 30 seconds so that they don't even get credit for a view because this is bullshit. This weekend, I had some major computer problems. As I had discussed a couple of weeks ago, my mother-in-law died. I set up a recovery disk and I did the wrong thing. I saved it to an external hard drive. And if you know anything about computers, when you save recovery to any file, it deletes the other files. So it took my 1 terabyte external hard drive down to a 32 megabyte recovery disk. So I lost precious pictures, videos that I had for my wife of her mother that we could never recover. So, like a lunatic, I'm hunting everywhere for a solution to this problem because I'm not a person that deals with the problem. I'm looking for the solution. My issue is always how can we resolve this? Not how can I live in the muck and mire of the problem, but how can I make this recoverable? So I go to a bunch of different sites, most of them clickbaits, no help whatsoever. I finally find some people who are righteous, who actually talked about what the problem was and how to solve the problem. I followed instructions, and needless to say, I am back up and running. I am still running recoveries and gaining more data back, which is a beautiful thing. And so I reached out to a buddy of mine, and I want to say, E, if you're listening, I appreciate you, man. I don't go to people for help much. I don't go to people for help often. But you were correct. When I ask for help, I really have a problem. To me, this was a problem that was much bigger than myself. It was in an area of expertise that I do not have. I don't know it all. And he reached out to me and he let me know that it was all right sometimes to ask for help. And I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that in a kind manner, that even a person like me is all right. So I appreciate you once again, E, and I thank you very much, brother. But let's round on these clickbaiters, man, because they are liars. They are frauds. They are a thief of your time. They have no honor. All they care about is a view and a click, and they don't care how your time is spent, and time is valuable. Look at this world. We have a pandemic. We have threats of World War III. So time is precious, people, and it can't be wasted on those who are trying to fraud, scam, or take advantage of us in any way. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to the normal portion of the show. Miss Alabama, Zozo Bethel died at the age of 27. Very young lady. Screaming Trees and Kings of the Stone Age musician. What is this man's name? His name was Mark Locker. He died at the age of 57. Johnathan, the amazing Johnathan, died at the age of 63. He's a longtime TV Las Vegas personality and the original Hot Lips Houlihan from the MASH movie. Sally Kellerman died at the age of 84. Ken Burrough, the former Houston Oilers receiver and the last player to wear 00 in the NFL, died at the age of 73. He was a part of those Dan Pastorini, Earl Campbell, Houston Oilers. I think he played about 5 years or so. He was a good player. He was not an all-star anything, but he was known, okay? I also send an RIP out to all those who lost their lives so far in this Ukraine-Russian conflict. COVID is up to 81 million cases here in the United States. 794,000 people have died, and supposedly 553 million people have been vaccinated in one shape or form. 436 million cases worldwide, and 6 million people have died. Now, in Minneapolis, those 3 former police officers that was with Derek Chauvin, Thao, J. Alexander Kuhn, and Thomas Lane were all found guilty of federal civil rights violations in the George Floyd murder. I'm going to always get that right. I got to say that right. George Floyd's murder. They are going to wait to be sentenced. These guys are facing heavy times. I don't know why any of them didn't take a deal and turn on the others. I don't know how they thought they were going to get away with this, but you know what? Basically, fuck them. They did the wrong thing. They had, especially that Thao. He had an opportunity to stop this because he's seen this. He stopped others from intervening, and you know you're not really going to intervene when police officers have guns. This lunatic, Trump, praised Putin. He called him genius for his insertion into Ukraine. I mean, we got to make sure as a people that Trump never holds the office of even dog catcher. The gas prices are through the freaking roof, man. We almost talking $4, some places 4 and change. Joe Biden, President Joe Biden has chosen a black woman as his pick to replace the retiring Justice Breyer on the Supreme Court. And this young lady's name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji Brown Jackson. I hope that she's outstanding. I hope that she loves the law. I hope that she believes in the law and she lives to make sure that the proper judgments are made. And we will see how her process goes, especially being a young black woman in America. I listened to a CD that I highly recommend to anybody that's listening to me. Even if you're not familiar with this artist, Eddie Vedder released a CD called Earthling. This is a phenomenal CD, and it went to #1 on the charts, and this man deserved it. I'm going to be doing a show on Eddie and musicians who influenced me like in a month from now. But this CD, man, is one that I cannot stop listening to. There is just song after song after song that are beautifully done. And I appreciate Eddie. I love Eddie and I don't know Eddie. But you know what? He's put so much into my heart, my soul, and my mind and my spirit that I allow myself to love a stranger. I at least love the talent that he has. The man I do not know. I do not know anything about the man. I don't follow him like that. I don't follow any so-called celebrity on their Wikipedias, this, that, and the others. I look at the talent that they give to the world and I evaluate them by that. I don't give them a free pass to do stupid shit, but so far I've not heard of Eddie being a bad man. So I've been watching a bunch of TV, and there's a bunch of new TV that's coming out also. I actually went back in the archives and found Baseball, 1994 documentary by Ken Burns. This is outstanding. This is from the inception of baseball through the 2000s, because you have to think about it. It was made in 94, but it couldn't go but so far, right? But this is like a 10-parter, and it's great. It shows you a lot about the racist background of baseball, the myths and lies about the game of baseball, like Albert Doubleday created the game when he had nothing to do with it. So I say, if you get a chance, please watch it. It's going to be 15 hours of your life, but I think it's well worth it. This Is Us. Becca realized her dance dreams. Sophie returned, and Kevin and Thanksgiving, he's trying to get his children to spend Thanksgiving with him as opposed to the kids spending their first Thanksgiving with his ex and her new man. So that's a different dynamic, and I'm sure a lot of people in real life can relate to that. The Walking Dead season 11 is on like episode 3. I don't like how they always make at least one of the characters above human on the show. And what I mean by that is we're in a time where people are trying to kill you, and you go out of your way to show some kind of Christianity, kindness to your enemies. And I don't think that would be realistic in an apocalyptic time. But that's just it. And then you got the Commonwealth with their laws and order system. You got them with a caste system, which doesn't make sense. So I don't think of the Commonwealth as a good place. I think of it as a good idea, but not a great place, because if you were nobody before that, their pandemic, you're nobody today. I mean, not to say that a person who goes down a menial job is a nobody. Let me correct that. I didn't mean to insult anybody, because somebody could be listening to me who shines shoes. You're just as important as anybody else. It's just your job is not a job that moves mountains, if you understand what I mean. I watched all 3 of the SVUs, which means Law and Order, Organized Crime, and the returning Law and Order, the original. SVU is just about right now dumb. They need to do some work on that show. I mean, we're spending time with Carisi dating Rollins, which nobody cares about. They're going back on cold cases that are 10, almost 20 years old. Like, if though New York doesn't have new things in the media that they can write off of and capitalize off those storylines. Organized crime is a failure right now, people. It is a total and absolute failure. This Wheatley has gone on way too long. It almost makes me feel like I'm watching Gotham. Remember this TV show on Fox, Gotham? And I guess Stabler is Batman and Wheatley is a mixture of the Joker and the Penguin. I mean, he just doesn't go away. He gets convicted. The governor takes him in. He goes back against the governor. And they lied to us. They made a promise that this series was going to deal with 8-part story arches, where you would deal with a criminal, and within 8 episodes, the show would be closed down and they would move on to the next criminal activity organization. And so far, they have not kept their word. If you have not seen Peacemaker, please do yourself a favor and watch Peacemaker. This is a DC comic television show starring John Cena. Don't think of this as being totally whitewashed. Every other word is a cuss word, so do not have the kids unless you allow them to listen to adult language. Watch this with you. There's going to be a lot of they deal with a lot of sexual situations. So far, it hasn't been blood and guts. We haven't got to that. Haven't got to that point. I'm only on episode 3, but the cussing, I would say, every 20 words there's going to be an MF or FU or something bomb thrown. It deals with a lot of racism. There's a lot going on in Peacemaking. So far, so good. Saturday Night Live came back yesterday, and John Maloney, who was hosting for the 5th time, was funny as hell. This was a very good show. LCD Sound System was the musical guest. They were different, but you know what? I couldn't say that I hated them. I actually enjoyed the whole entire show. It was a very good return after a couple of weeks off for SNL. Power Force returned. And, Tommy's hooking up with some new dudes in town. And I mean, it was a kind of a silly scene. Tommy can't stop getting sex from chicks. He just hooking up with drug dealers. But to have two guys fight over supremacy of a gang organization might have been the silliest fucking thing I've ever seen. When with two, I mean, I don't think the transfer of power is like Greece from 1602, where two dudes have a fist fight, and whoever wins the fist fight takes over the criminal organization, because criminal organizations are worth money. So the best fighter is not always going to be the leader of any gang, crew, or posse. So let's just kill that right there. Miss Mizell has returned. The Equalizer has returned. SWAT has returned. Let me see what else out there has returned. So if you're interested in any of those shows, I just wanted to put that bug in your ear. So this fool, Hugh Jackson at Grambling State, hires this Art Burrough. This dude was fired by Baylor because he had a bunch of sexual assault charges. Matter of fact, one of the players was so bad, I think he's serving 20 years in prison for rape. Grambling said they backed this hiring. I don't understand this hiring. I don't think that this is good publicity for an HBCU. I think that they made the wrong choice here. Why Hugh Jackson couldn't go out and hire a brother? That's not racist, but black coaches don't get a lot of opportunities to be assistant coaches at major colleges, even if they're Division II or HBCUs. And I think that this should have been a job that he allocated to another black man, especially after he spoke up on the Bryant Flores situation. So the U.S. women's soccer team settled their lawsuit for $24 million. I hope this is a push in the right direction. I don't know if this is going to be enough money to let them get over the pain and suffering that they suffered over the years of being treated as subclass, second-class citizens when they're the biggest stars in America when it comes to soccer. Nobody is a bigger star in America than the women's soccer team. Most people can't name two guys on the male soccer team, but the women's soccer team always have women that you know. Even if you're just a casual fan, you've seen these women. So last week we had Juwan's Howard incident, Michigan's head basketball coach, and the ending of that is he was suspended for 5 games, which is the remainder of the regular season. He was fined $40,000 for hitting that Wisconsin assistant coach, Joe Krabahoff, in the face. And the Big Ten said, that's that. It's over. That's done. Hopefully, Juwan Howard can maintain his cool, his peace, and his dignity, to which he always seemed to have been that type of dude before. So we hope that in the future, being the head coach of Michigan's men's basketball coach, which is a prestigious job and a school that he put on the map, that he will maintain his cool next time, that he could walk away instead of getting into some kind of kerfuffle. Okay. So we had UFC. It was supposed to be Dariush versus Makhachev, but Beneil Dariush wound up being injured, so Bobby Green stepped in. And Bobby Green fought Islam Makhachev. And it wasn't a hard fight for Makhachev. He ended in the first round. He submitted him. Bobby Green, I tip my hat to this dude, man. I mean, for taking a fight on short notice, saying, you know what, I'm going to do what I need to do to step in there. Now, I do feel for this woman, Kim. This woman, Kim, fought on the card, and she always seems to be on the short end of decisions over and over again. I mean, she's not what you call a knockout artist, but she puts a lot of damage on other chicks. This was a good card. There were a bunch of submissions. There were some good knockouts. It was a very bloody card. I will say that this is one of the most bloody UFC cards that I have seen in a while. And I'm talking about the men and the women poured blood. This weekend, we got the UFC coming back with a matchup of some people I could give less than a damn about, but I hope they beat each other piss poor bloody for 5 rounds. And these two dudes are Kobe Covington and Jorge Masvidal. I used to like Masvidal, but Masvidal showed his true colors by being a Trumpian. Kobe Covington is a Trumpian. So like I said, I hope they eliminate each other. Where they beat each other to the point where they both have to be medically suspended for 9 months. And I would not care. Also on that card, we're going to have the return of Greg Hardy versus Serge Spivak. Edson Barboza is fighting Bryce Mitchell. Jessica I is fighting Manon Bernot. And Kevin Holland is fighting Alex Cowboy Oliveira. So that should be a pretty good UFC card. I'll give you my thoughts on that next week after it happens. Like I said, that's UFC 272. I like to give you what I consider to be just the premier basketball games of the week. We don't go into the carrots. We just take the meat. And the meat is tonight, you got the Bulls versus the Heat. DeMar DeRozan's been balling crazy, people. If you keep up with the NBA, this is no news to you. You also have the Raptors versus the Nets. The mask mandate has been lifted in almost every city in America. But Kyrie, being unvaccinated, still cannot play at home for the Nets. So the Raptors will be actually playing a Kyrie KD-less Nets. I don't believe Ben Simmons is ready. They're saying something's going on with his back now. Now, Tuesday, you got the Mavs versus the really slumping bad Lakers. The Lakers are like 6 games under 500. They look horrible. They have no continuity. AD is out. I don't know what to say about the Lakers. I wish them no luck. I do not like LeBron LA at all. Wednesday, you got the Heat versus the Bucks. That should be a good game. Thursday, you got the Bulls versus the Hawks. You got the Heat versus the Nets, which was supposed to be on TNT, but they took that game off to put a Grizzlies game on because, once again, the Nets are home. No KD, no Kyrie. Why bother putting them on national TV? You got the Lakers then playing the Clippers. The Clippers have beat the Lakers 6 straight, and they just beat them over the weekend. Then Friday, you got the Bucks versus the Bulls. Should be outstanding. Saturday, you got the 76ers versus the Heat. Harden is playing for the 76ers. They balled out. Him and Embiid beat up on the Knicks yesterday. Then you got the Warriors versus the Lakers. And then Sunday, you got the Nets who are on the road, which means Kyrie Irving can play in Boston versus the Celtics. And those are what I consider to be the top games of the week. Next week, we're going to deal with a completely honest person cannot be conned, even by the very best con artists. And I'm going to explain that to you. Let me say that again. Next week's show, a completely honest person cannot be conned, even by the world's best con artists. And I will explain this to you. We'll leave it at that for now. I want to just put this bug in your ear. Do not let those clickbaiters off the hook. Your time is valuable. If they caught you up and they made you click on a video and you would have went elsewhere, let them know your displeasure. You ain't got to go crazy, but let them know that somebody knows that they're playing games, and adults shouldn't be playing games with other people because in when you don't have to. If you want to be a guest, the door is open. I have a website. You can go there and contact me any chance or any time that you like. I always respond back to everybody who takes the time to respond to me. I do it likewise. And I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, people, peace to you and peace to yours.